Hello, this is Catherine, and welcome back to Taking Tea with Catherine. Today's tea is Cedarburg Harvest Green Rooibos from Simpson and Vale, and we're doing the Booktube Real Talk tag. And I was trying to figure out how to tie these two in. The only way I can think of is this is not real tea, and this is the Real Talk tag, but I'm doing it anyway. This is, however, very delicious. It's got a little bit of a fruity, floral taste that's got that rooibos that's almost smoky but not overbearingly so. So it's not real tea, but this is the Real Talk tag, and that's reaching, and that's okay. We're coming to you today without the usual effect of the bookshelves in the back, because I'm actually doing a little experiment to see. I don't tend to get as many viewers when I use this background. I want to see what happens this time. So I'm just feeling I'm playing around, but that's okay because we're getting real today. And not terribly real, honestly. Come on, just me. But number one, what's something nobody told you about Booktube before you started your channel? Well, I didn't speak to anybody about it except for people who didn't do Booktube, and that was only a few people that I talked to anyway. But I watched a few videos from Booktubers talking about the experience for anyone who wanted to try, and I was pretty well informed, honestly. I think the only thing I didn't realize 100% is how much of my thinking was going to be involved. Whenever I'm reading a book, I'm thinking about how I'm going to talk about it in a Booktube. Not every minute of the day, honestly. Sometimes I'm just enjoying my book. But even when I'm walking the street, I tend to daydream, and I will think about things that I want to talk about on Booktube, and that's kind of fun. You know, it's not the worst thing to think about, to be honest. So number two, what is your opinion on, air quotes, typical Booktube videos? And this speaks of wrap-ups, TBRs, hauls, etc. I think we could throw tags in too, because that's a big one. And since I'm obviously doing a tag, I obviously don't mind. I like all of these things. I like wrap-ups because I like to see what people talking about things they actually read. Because sometimes you want to know that people are reading. So it's kind of, and it's good for myself to talk about wrapping up the month. It's very organized. The same thing with TBRs. I think it's a great way to have goals, and I like to watch other people's TBRs. I get very excited, especially this Victober. I can't say it. Victober TBRs. I've been watching them and having a great time with it. But I think that if you're going to do TBRs, you need to do wrap-ups of some sort. You need to say, did I read any of these books? Because otherwise you're just throwing things in the air. And the same thing with hauls. I love that secondhand, what do they call that when you're vicariously shopping with somebody, as it were, when you see what they've taken home with them. And you can enjoy this with library hauls as well. So if you really don't want to buy stuff, that's fine. The same thing, I think that not that if you do hauls you have to do unhauls, but if you do hauls and you're just showing all the books you got and you never ever read the books, then it's kind of like, well, what happened? Did you just decorate your house with it? Because that's just decorating 101. So yeah, I think there's a way that if you're doing them, connected a little bit. And I think most people connect, honestly. So I think these are all good. The only thing is that sometimes I've done things that I wouldn't say original. Nothing I've ever done is 100% original. I really don't think. But I've done something that's slightly off of the typical, and I may not get as much of a response, and I say, oh. But I'm not like devastated. It's just that's how it works. That's okay. So number three, what is an assumption you had about Booktube before you joined? Was it proven to be correct or not? And again, I'm still new, so there's a lot of things that I'm not sure of yet. I know I assumed before I joined that no one would want to watch because, again, I just make these very basic low-tech videos, and who would want to listen to me ramble on about the books that I read? But apparently some people do, and that's great. So I'd like to be proven wrong about things. I probably assumed other things that I forgot about entirely because I'm too busy reading, thinking about what I'm reading and what I'm going to say on Booktube. All right, so number four. What is something you've done that has actually helped you grow your audience? Well, the typical stuff, obviously. Joining challenges has been a big thing. I already commented on people's videos even before I became a booktuber, when I had my original channel, which was not a channel, it was just me, my subscription, as it were, my name, and how do I say? I when I joined Booktube, I made sure to comment even more because I wanted to not only comment because I like commenting, but to make myself known, as it were. But that wasn't. I don't think that would have done a lot if I hadn't done the challenges. If I hadn't done the challenges like Jane Austen July, which was a big one. That was probably the biggest thing, because suddenly I was doing things that people were looking for. Talking about things that people were interested in listening to, especially those who were doing Jane Austen July as well. And then I had people who watched that who decided to shout me out. At least a couple of people have so far done shout outs for me. And once that happens, it's all over the place. Not that I have a million, but much more than I had in the beginning. And that's great. And it's a steady growth. Slow and steady. Doing these tags definitely helps as well. So that's fun, All right. Now, number 5, I'm going to ramble a little bit, and it's going to be probably something that not everyone agrees with, but I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. It's two-part. The first part it's going to be short. What is a common mistake you see new booktubers making, or one that you made? The thing is that I'm still new, so I can't really say what I've done terribly mistakenly yet. I think within a year I may start coming up with that. And all I can really say so far in retrospect is obviously that I'm still working on angles. I'm still working on sound, and my editing has been almost none. So I think that even though I know editing is not 100% necessary, I think it could be helpful in a way. And I do have ideas that I would love to incorporate if I were able to edit. So I don't know if it's a mistake or just a thing to work on. I don't know. Like I said, and I really try not to look for faults when I'm watching other people's videos. The only thing I'm going to say, and again, not a lot of people are going to agree with me on this, because the thing I'm criticizing actually is not a necessarily rookie mistake. I've seen people who are on Booktube for quite some time, and they do this still, and they have tons of followers, so whatever. And I think this is a generational thing, and I keep going back into that. I know not everything is influenced by how old I am, but I grew up in a time that YouTube did not exist. I didn't have access to YouTube until I was close to 30, and lose my voice, 30. But and so I think that the YouTube generation is not me. I'm learning YouTube, obviously. I've been on it for some time, watching things on YouTube, but there's a way that people post, especially the younger folk who've known YouTube for most of their lives. People like me who grew up on television, standard television. I didn't even have cable until I was a bit older, so I couldn't even have too much access to music videos. So sometimes music videos irritate me too sometimes. Not always. But I think man, I cannot get this out. This is why I would be good if I had some kind of editing. But I think the problem is that I used to watch a lot of talk shows, not too many, but talk shows, news programs. The worst thing you'd see is when people talk over each other and interrupt each other or get into fights or whatever, which I didn't like. And of course, sitcoms where people would have laugh tracks put in. I think that's very irritating. But generally, when someone was talking live even, you heard them. Unless they cursed and they bleeped them out because there was a delay. But when they were saying something, they had to be pretty good at what they were saying. Pretty polished. And I think that a lot of booktubers are polished, and they've worked on that. And I know I need to work on that myself. I've done some public speaking, and I don't do a terrible job of it, but I know sometimes because I don't edit, I just flub around sometimes. That being said, I think some people, now I'm getting to the point, I think some people over edit. And when I say over edit, I don't mean that they take out some of their word whiskers and ends, But and some people do it really well. So you'll see them clip to the next thought, and obviously they've chopped something out, even if it's a pause or whatever. But it's seamless in a way that even if you notice it, it's not irritating. But I am someone who becomes irritated by things that maybe even people my age wouldn't get irritated by, because sounds irritate me. I have a thing called misophonia. Look it up. It is horrible. And I also just, even some visual things bother me. Certain lighting things bother me. So, and also I've had to contend with, you've seen it probably if you watch me long enough, ticks. I have ticks that I cannot always control, and I've had to deal with that my whole life. It's very uncomfortable to not let it out. And so when I watch people speaking and chopping up and editing so much, to me, it almost appears like ticks. Like when someone's talking and they keep cutting out, and suddenly they're in the same place, but they're slightly in a different place. It just gets to me. It totally doesn't seem natural to me. It seems, it's especially if it's not done well, it's choppy, and it hurts. And I've said, oh, maybe it's just bothered me because I'm watching it. But I've walked away and listened, and not watched it, and I can actually hear the editing. So okay, I think some of it is good. I think some people, they edit just enough so that they're taking out the things that I should be able to take out and don't yet. But I think that sometimes, guys, it's okay. But I'm speaking from someone, maybe even people in their 50s don't agree with me. I don't know. But I feel like when I want to listen to someone talk about books, and of course, if you're gonna be showing a lot of books, for instance, obviously I do a thing sometimes where I have to reach and pull from different spots, and that would be a great thing to cut. But it's okay to go to another sentence or even another comma, division of a thought without chopping something out. You can have a clear flow of thoughts, and those who do that, actually, I enjoy watching more. Again, this is me. I am cranky. I have a lot of Catherine issues, and so if y'all don't agree, that's okay. You don't have to. But this is actually the one thing I would love to see comments about. How do you guys feel about that? If you guys even notice this sort of thing. Because like I said, some things I'm totally chill about and don't care. And other things I just get so irritated. You should see me sometimes walking down the street. It's so sad, the things that bother me. This is why I love books so much. When you read a book, it's just a clear, concise, obviously in your own time. But I think that kind of diminishes one's audience when not diminishes them by numbers, but like the understanding of what they are capable of doing. If one is capable of reading books, sitting there and reading paragraphs and not having to be constantly entertained by interruptions and choppiness, then can't you just talk? Anyway, I've said my piece on that. Number 6, what are your thoughts on working with publishers and sponsorships? Honestly, anything in balance is okay. Moderation. If you're doing it, please disclose that you are. Don't overdo it. I think it's a good thing. I would love to be able to be paid to sponsor things as long as it's a product or a thing that I agree with. If you're reviewing a book that a publisher has sent you, and whether someone's paying for you to do so or not, be honest. Don't just say you liked it because someone gave it to you and you think you should say that. And again, if you're sponsoring it, let me know. I saw a video, which I'm not going to tie because she does not need to be tied in. She's got over 1 million viewers, but it's not a booktuber. It's a dog. It's a dog YouTuber. YouTuber of a dog. I don't know what you call that, but it's called Tucker Buds, and it's great. It's great. It's so cute with this golden retriever. It's so cute. I know I'm a cat person, but one of her last videos, the girl who does the videos, the woman, she tied in an ad for like these washable rugs, which I actually am seeing a lot of this ad all over the place, and she did it in such a cute way with a dog. And she obviously mentioned that it was sponsored, but she did it in a very creative way. So I think if you're sponsored by somebody, just learn how to tie it in such a way that it's still entertaining. Because you know what? We all have to watch ads so much in our lives. We don't, if we're going to watch a Booktube video because we want to see someone talk about books and we realize we just sat and watched the whole ad, you know, psych. But anyway, I still think it's a good thing. I think it's good. Number 7, do you think Booktube is dying? Well, I hope not, but I honestly don't think it's dying. I think that I don't know at what point in its lifespan it's in, but it's at worst in middle age. Number 8, tag your friends. I'm not going to today. I've decided that I will sometimes tag people when I'm tagged, and sometimes I won't, because sometimes I just don't feel like finding out who is already tagged in something. So if I feel so inclined, I shall. But thank you for tagging me, Tia, and all the books. I think that is... Thank you very much. Any opinions, comment down below, subscribe, etc., all the things. And I hope you've had a lovely day. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. Oh, wait. Not over. I gotta show a book. Here's a book, because I can't go a whole video without showing a book. It's nothing to do with the conversation, but I like it. I got it in England a couple years ago. It's called Scone with the Wind, and I know I pronounce it scone because I'm American, but I know that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. It's got so many cute little literary recipes, which is so ties in with me. I have not made one thing from this recipe book though, but it's a cute book. So I had to show a book, and I'm not sponsored anyway. Blah blah blah. Taking Tea with Catherine. Bye.